And to be very honest, I don't have many questions about this Utah football team. I'll have a few more about BYU just because I'm not down there a bunch. But one of the few questions I really have, and I was talking to Chris Camrani about it yesterday. We were walking out of practice together, and Britton Covey's been practicing. He's been doing everything. I just wonder, and maybe we find out tomorrow when we talk to Kyle Whittingham, 8 days out. There's no media availability, by the way, today. I just wonder how much they're planning on playing Britton Covey. How much do they plan on exposing Britton Covey coming back off that ACL injury? I think he'll play. That's my gut feeling. I don't think that unless there was some sort of a setback, I don't think we'd not see him play. He was out there. Saw him after practice yesterday chatting it up at the Jugs machine with Kyle Whittingham. He looks fine. But, again, practice speed, practice effort, and game effort are two different things. So my one real question on the offensive side of the football is how much, where, and how do they use Britton Covey in his first game back? I just have this sinking feel. I should say sinking. I just have this feeling we're going to see him. I just don't know to what extent. They are planning on having him return punts, so maybe they use him in special teams and limit his touches maybe in the receiving game. Or maybe just because, again, we don't see practice. By the time we get out there, they're done. The only thing we get to see Britton Covey do is walk over to us in the media or catch footballs from the Jugs machine. Maybe he's full go and ready to go. And knowing Britton Covey, that would not surprise me in any way, shape, or form. So that's one of the few things I have questions about in this game. Big questions in the game from each team, though. I probably have one big question about Utah and one big question about BYU. My big question about Utah is, how does Andy Ludwig choose to attack to begin the game? Does he line up and just say, I'm going to run the ball down your throat with a new offensive line? Or does Andy come out and mix it up and go down the field and throw the ball all over the place early? I'm very curious to see how Andy decides to attack BYU. That's really game-wise, strategy-wise question that I have. What way does he go? Does he keep it pretty basic and pretty simple early and just say, we got the best back in this part of the country. We've got an All-American tailback who's ready to eat. Do they hand him the football and say, go do it, offensive line, get us a push up front, get some seams open for Zach Moss? Or does he mix it up? Does he give you a lot of different looks early? That's what I'm curious to see with Utah. My question for BYU is really, how do they move the ball on Utah? I think BYU's defense is solid. I think they've been solid. That's where Kalani hangs his hat. I don't think they're great. I think the playmakers have to evolve, but I think that they've played a scheme in recent years where they have been a solid defense. I don't know who's going to be the sack guy, who's going to be the big play guy yet for that team, but I think that they're going to be a solid and well-coached and disciplined. My question, though, is on the other side, how do they move the ball? Even if we assume Zach Wilson is healthy and 100% and the shoulder's not bothering him, how do they move the ball on that Utah defense? How do they run the ball against Utah? How do they pass the ball against Utah? Do you try to expose those linebackers early by trying to get to the ball to the tight ends? Do you take shots down the field? Do you go after Tariq Lewis? How is Jeff Grimes? How is Aaron Roderick? How are they going to move the ball against that Utah defense? That's the thing I'm very curious to see on the BYU side of things. So we'll see. 9 days from today in Provo. Got a little bit of news this morning. The AP, yesterday we got the AP poll that came out. We found out Utah was number 14. I told you I'd probably put them at about number 8 if I was ranking them. I think they're a top 10 team. I don't know where yet. And I said yesterday, I think after those top 5 teams, I think you can go probably 6 through about 20, 6 through about 15, 16, 17, and shake them up after that. But I think if I had a vote yesterday, I would have put Utah at about number 8. They finished at number 14, which is fine. Again, preseason polls don't mean anything. You've got the selection committee now. They're the ones that do all the heavy lifting and do all the hard work. Today, the Associated Press put out their preseason All-American team. And there was local representation on that All-American team. Only one guy from the state of Utah was named to the preseason AP All-American team, and he was named to the second team. That was Leki Fotu. Utah's Leki Fotu was named second-team preseason All-American defensive tackle. There was no Bradley Anai. There was no Zach Moss. Benjamin, by the way, made second-team running back. And again, I'll say, these are AP voters that vote on this. Zach Moss didn't finish the year last year. Had Zach Moss finished, again, it's that damned if you do, damned if you don't. If he finishes the year, he probably goes to the NFL. So he's probably not back to make an All-American team. But anyway, no Moss, no Anai, no Jalen Johnson on the first or second team preseason AP All-American team. So I don't have any doubt Leki Fotu is deserving, and he's going to be on that team. And he may end up being first team preseason or postseason All-American. However, I don't have any doubt he will be on that postseason team unless he gets hurt, and we'll knock on wood that Leki doesn't get hurt. So I did throw a poll question up today for you guys, up at ESPN 700 Bill on Twitter, and I'm just curious. With Leki Fotu being a consensus preseason All-American, I don't have any doubt that he'll be on the postseason team too. Who do you think is most likely to join him on a consensus postseason All-American team? And when I say consensus, that's first or second team. When we say you're an All-American, that means you're on either the first or the second team. You don't have to be first team to be a consensus All-American. It's basically, did you make the first or second team across the board, the AP, the Phil Steele, the CBS, the ESPN, the guys like that? So who's most likely in your mind to join Leki Fotu on a consensus postseason All-American team? Is it Jalen Johnson? Is it Bradley Anai? Is it Zach Moss? Who do you feel, if you had to choose among, or other, you could go other if you wanted to. I'm not quite sure who you would go with on the other as far as an All-American team, if that makes sense. I love Julian Blackmon, but I'm not sure Julian's going to make an All-American team. I could see him making All-Pac-12 as a safety. I would be surprised if he made an All-American team.